Throw the bones and talk all things Husker defense with the Blackshirts. And we did get some of the Blackshirt announcements, right, Honke?
Yeah, so Blackshirts are on the defensive line, Ty Robinson and Colton Feast. On the edge, Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner. Linebackers, Luke Reimer and Nick Henrich. Cornerback, Quentin Newsom, and safeties, Marcus Buford and Miles Farmer. And for, in-state recruiting Nebraska guy like me, walk-on guy, Luke Reimer and Colton Feast, 2 of the 9 Blackshirts are in-state guys that are, walk-ons, former walk-ons that have built themselves up. And some of the very notable names that you're not hearing there, the O'Shawn Mathises and Stephen Wins and, those guys, Tommy Hill, those transfers, that's, as Rob said earlier, that's solely because, and I like this move by the coaching staff, between captains and Blackshirts, they're basically saying, if you haven't done something as a Husker yet, we're not going to award you that yet. So it wouldn't be a shock if in a week O'Shawn Mathis has a Blackshirt after getting 2 sacks against Northwestern, but they're waiting until that sack, until those sacks happen.
Yeah, Honke, how many of these guys, of these, at least this first set of 9, were Blackshirts last year?
Let's see, you'd have Ty Robinson, you'd have Garrett Nelson, Reimer and Henrich, I'm sure were.
Tanner was.
I don't know if Tanner. I'm not sure if Tanner was.
Caleb Tanner.
He might have been last year, and then Newsom. But definitely new ones would be Buford, Farmer, and Feast for sure. At least out of that. That's a good question. I'm not sure about Tanner. You might be right. Tanner might be right.
And going forward, then you mentioned O'Shawn. I'd imagine Stephen Wynn might be it, and Nash Hutmacher might be up there.
Yeah, obviously Tommy Hill, and then there's the Nick spot too, the nickel, where some combination of Sipple was guaranteeing that it's going to be Gifford. Could be Gifford. I've heard good things about Kolarevich. I love the length that Javen Wright could bring to that position if he's healthy. I mean, we're talking a 6'5" guy playing JoJo's position.
Wow, got up to 6'5".
Yeah, I mean 6'5" guy that could be big enough to rush from an outside.
He's 6'5".
6'5". I mean,
basketball team playing football these days.
It's crazy. I want to show the video here of Garrett Nelson at the press conference on Sunday. And again, this is him talking about Northwestern left tackle Peter Skoronski, who's going to be an All-American, and just kind of the respect he has for him, but also, this is what he's been working his way up to as a pass rusher.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you play in this league. In the Big Ten, every week you're going to have the best offensive linemen in the country you're going against. And, I've always been talking about how much I've improved my pass rush. And like you said, this is probably the great test right out the gate. So, that's definitely it's been on my mind for a while, if you want to be honest. I'm really excited because obviously, like I said, that's why you're in this league, to rush against those best guys. But I'm really excited for the opportunity. And
you study him a lot.
Yeah. No, he great player. Really excited to go against him.
Dave, I was thinking about putting down what are some goals of the game, or there's so many opportunities that Shenander has talked about, wanting to get Tanner, Mathis, Nelson onto the field at the same time. And I think that can be a dynamic trio. Think of the things you can do with them. But one of the goals and one of the things I'm going to be watching immediately out of the gates is, how do we hold up in the middle in this new 4-man front? If I'm Northwestern, it's all first down offense. If you can get 5 yards up the gut on us and get us into 2nd and 5s, we'll never see those 3 guys on the field at the same time. So it's, how do you hold up on first down? How do you keep them at 2nd and 8 and 2nd and 9 so that they are in positions where you're starting to put those talented, get a lot of that talented pass rushing skill out there. I think the defense has a very different look than a year ago and has a very different talent base than it had a year ago. But you've got to earn it in the middle. And where we lost Damian Daniels in a 3-man front, we needed a guy like Daniels as a nose tackle. But now it looks a little different. 4-man front, you got 2 guys in the middle. Kind of those 2 guys have to just gum up guard to guard on offense. They have to just make it harder than heck to get any movement in the middle between the guards, and then start to force everything, shift everything out further to the outside. And I think, we set the edge with those edge guys. I think we'll be a hard team to go sideline to sideline on, but right up the gut, we're going to find out right away against Northwestern.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I think it's an interesting test just to see Northwestern in game one and see how they attack this defense. Obviously, last year was in Nebraska's favor, right? I mean, 56-7. And if I remember correctly, we definitely had some pressures and some turnovers that we created and capitalized on to get that big lead. And so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. If you think about Northwestern, I mean, Northwestern is a team that's had this cycle of up and down, right? I mean, they go to the win the West in 18, then they go 3-9 in 19. Then they, in the COVID year, they go 7-2 and win the West. And last year they go 3-9. So some people are saying, oh, they could be back, and Fitzgerald said, hey, we're more experienced this year. And that's the key to Northwestern. But they do only have, I think, 5 guys back from the defensive side of the ball. If you really think about Northwestern, it's a tale of two teams, really, right? Offensively, as we've played them, I mean, let's think about the scores. They scored 7 points last year. Mm-hmm. Even when they've beaten us, how many points have they scored? 21, 13. I mean, they've won really grinded out, low-scoring games versus us. The odds of Northwestern putting a bunch of points up against us is pretty low. Even in our first game of the year, where you could say, like, well, defense has been practiced against air right now, and that's tough, so the offense might have a little bit of an advantage. Maybe Northwestern scores a little bit more in game 1 than they would against Nebraska in game 6 or 7, but if Northwestern scores a lot, that'd be really shocking. So the question is, how good is our offense? Can it score enough points? Because I just don't think Northwestern's going to drop more than 21 on us.
If you look at Northwestern, it's a little anecdotal for people to think they'll just turn it around because they have so many times in the past. When they've turned it around in the past, the year that they went 3-9 or 4-8, whatever they went, they were very competitive at 4-8 and 3-9.
Yeah.
A year ago, that wasn't the case. And one of the reasons was the defense that you're talking about. They're winning games because they score 21 and they give up 20. Well, those defenses under Hankwitz, their defensive coordinator who left after the 2020 season, that guy was a great defense coordinator. Well, they struggled last year. We put up 56 on them, and there's a lot that they have to prove right now. And I envision, by the way, I think they're going to be a better defense this year in year 2 with the coordinator than they were a year ago. But that just they went through a transition. Their defense struggled, and they were not competitive last year in a lot of their losses, and that was new to Northwestern because normally they were very similar to how we were a year ago. A lot of times they'd go 3-9, 4-8, but they were all real close games. So, anyways, no doubt they're going to be motivated. They want to get that taste of last year out of their mouth too. I mean, it's 2 3-9 teams playing against each other, so both of us can sit there and say, "Hey, no, we sucked less than you did," or whatever. But at the end of the day,
but we're also different. They also have 2 conference or at least divisional championships in that same 4 years.
Sure.
Span.
Oh yeah.
So we better be more hungry than they are.
Oh my gosh. I mean, at the end of the day, when we bring in 35 new players through the transfer portal and through normal recruiting, more than a third of our team that's going to basically be playing or out there on the field, more than a third of it is new.
Yeah.
I mean, these are guys that don't have any of that background. They don't even remember. They don't know that we beat them 56-7. They weren't part of that. So it's, you're hoping that all the bad thoughts are gone with bringing in new guys that don't have those memories.
Or the good thoughts of last year still remain somehow, right? It's a different, right? But
whatever it takes.
They can check Wikipedia, Dave. It'll be fine.
Yeah. But I mean, you can check Wikipedia and look at the scores, and like we just don't give up that many points to Northwestern. So that's not how they win. And so I mean, if they're successful at grinding this game down to a halt and all that type of stuff, they could keep this down. But if we score more than 21 points, we should have a really good chance of winning this game.
Dave, do you have any concern defense backfield wise where we are replacing 3 longtime starters, Cam Taylor-Britt at corner, and the 2 safeties that Williams and Desmuke that had been there for forever. I mean, 3 years each, I think. Any concerns with the replacements?
When we play Oklahoma or a pass-heavy team that can scheme well against maybe some vulnerable positions like Purdue, yeah, sure. But I don't think Northwestern has the playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, especially at the wideout position, to make us sweat too much. And if they do, that's going to be a red flag. So I'd look out for that. But I just don't. I mean, I don't think they have anybody really on that receiving core that's going to scare you. They have a couple of good running backs, and I think their offensive line is probably okay. So that will be a focus. But if they beat us throwing the ball, that'd be a bad sign for the rest of the season.